2021 was a singular year, and it will be more interesting to see the 2022. And it will also depend on the reaction of the public bodies, because in some countries they didn't do anything. In others, if we are still here, if there are still distributors who are trying to buy films, it's also because we managed to survive. But the hard times are coming. Are those 12 next months?
Do you feel that they call for a change in the exploitation strategies of your films, that some of them will not be fit this year, for example, for theatrical exhibition? I'm talking on the short term at least. Yeah.
I think it's a very good time right now to be doing these sorts of surveys. I'm sitting in my office seeing people from all over the world, so I get a good gauge on what's going on worldwide. I'm a kind of glass half full guy, so when I look at those percentages, I also see the percentage of people that are going to the cinema, and that's still quite a lot of people. If the English box office is 25% down, that means 75% of them are still going. As Peter said, I think that's a miracle, but it does mean that people still want to see films theatrically. So I think around the world it's coming. I don't understand why Italy's percentage was so bad, but they've only very recently gone back to the cinema without masks. Nobody really wants to sit in an audience with a mask on. I've done it myself. It's very uncomfortable. It's horrible. I get it. But generally, I think Cannes with good weather really helps people's spirit. And there is a feeling that people are going back to the cinema. It will take, as Peter says, probably another year until we get back up to those levels. But it will happen. One of our biggest allies here right now is Tom Cruise. And I never thought I'd be saying that as an independent filmmaker. Seriously, the things that he has said in the interviews he's had here are really music to my ears, and it should be to all of you. He wants his films played theatrically. Obviously he does. And he when he was asked what would have happened if Paramount had played the film straight to a streamer, and he said they wouldn't dare. So we really need people like him. He's working for all of us. He really believes in a theatrical release that will be the best way to release his films. I'm a fan.
Peter, I'm coming back to you because we are also trying to see if something has changed anyway, if we got your optimistic message. Are you changing the programming of your theaters? Are you adapting? And how do you focus more space for US blockbuster when they are back? Any change? How do you adapt on a concrete basis to the transition period you have been describing?
Well, I think, first of all, there's nothing as consistent as change. But I think that until now, we had a lack of movies. So it's not that we program one movie on the expense of taking something else out. We played everything we can. And so I don't see sort of a short term, a very big change from the way we programmed movies before. But the question is, it's more a question of availability. I think when we get into June, I think it's the first time when we will have sort of a decent flow of product with a good backlog sort of behind it. So I think it's very hard to judge how the future looks. But I think there are things which are changing in the marketplace, and we have to adapt to those. I think one thing clearly is that during the pandemic, we had an older audience who used to go to the movies, who was a little scared of touching the remote controls and everything there and the technical stuff of getting sort of a digital platform up on their screen, who had to get used to that and maybe feels very comfy with that. And for them, there's a new world, and we have to work hard to bring them back. So I think it's going to take a little time to regain the older audience to come back to the movies. But it's up to us to do a good job and make it so attractive.
Okay, we have been taking generally, maybe it's a good time to try to focus a little bit on European films and how they are doing. So, Martin?
Yes, because what is interesting when you look at the development of admissions to European films in comparison to US films over the past 2 years, you can see that it was particularly US films that collapsed in 2020, or I mean, admissions to US films. They dropped by almost 80%, whereas European films performed comparatively better, as their admissions dropped by only 56%, meaning that they did benefit to a certain extent, if I may say so, from the lack of competition, as a lot of the US films were rescheduled and not released. Now in 21, as more US films came back, admissions to European films actually declined year on year. And from an origin perspective, European films were the only group of films to which the admissions declined that year. So 21 was not a particularly good film, a particularly good year for European films. And the question is 21 simply a correction of a truly exceptional situation in 2020, and we are kind of back to normal with European films taking 25 to 28% of the market share? Or are there signs for theatrical life for European films actually becoming a bit more difficult? Another thing that we could observe is that the number of European films on release did not drop to the same extent as the admissions to European films dropped. And the logical consequence to this is that in 2020 and 21, the average admissions per European film dropped significantly. And at the same time, we could see that the concentration among admissions to European films increased. That in 21, 65% of total admissions to European films went to the top 100 films, compared to 60% before the pandemic.
Laurent, maybe this can maybe confirm or what you were saying before, that fewer films are really making a significant number of admissions?
Yes, it is. And once again, 2021 was a singular year, and it will be more interesting to see the 2022. And it will also depend on the reaction of the public bodies, because in some countries they didn't do anything. In others, if we are still here, if there are still distributors who are trying to buy films, it's also because we managed to survive. But the hard times are coming. Are those 12 next months? Because we will not have any COVID support anymore, but I don't see that all the traditional subsidies programs have been shifted in order to be got no idea how you say that in English, sorry, to fit with this new reality, because we are in the market, for instance, in Switzerland, 2022 is down by 43% compared with the pre-pandemic years. So the level you have to achieve to get support was based to the previous years, and it will be difficult to achieve that. And so it will also need some agility and all those terms we are hearing as distributor, because the public bodies, be it Creative Europe or the national bodies, saying, okay, you need to adapt and change and find new ways, and we'll also need from them, from the administration, from all of the everybody also this agility in order to support the sector, in order to be able to release films and try to get the more audience that we can.